Hello guys, so last video did amazing, thank you so much. In this one, I'll show my Stasis Hunter, also a build that can take a lot of damage. Look at this, you have an amazing grenade that slows and freezes enemies, giving you and your team time to easily kill them. Your grenade also debuffs the enemies inside by decreasing the amount of damage they do in 50%. That's right, enemies deal 50% less damage to you. But it doesn't stop here, because if you or your teammates are inside the dusk field area, you get a buff of 25% damage resistance. So now enemies are dealing 50% less damage and you are taking 25% less damage. But again, it doesn't stop here, because with Whisper of Chains, you also going to take 40% less damage when you are within 10 meters of a frozen enemy or a friendly crystal. So, with 100 resilience, we have 30% damage resistance, plus 40%, plus 25%, we're now at 95. You want to add even more? You want woven mail on a stasis build? You can use Navigator. The thing is, Destiny doesn't add up numbers like this. So when we get really high numbers, we also get diminishing returns. But that's fine. The point I want to make is we have a lot of damage resistance with this build. And we can use it defensively or offensively, so it can fit more than one playstyle. With this build, you get your grenades really fast, so you are constantly freezing enemies. But you also have a long-range melee that was buffed, the Withering Blade, also known as Shuriken. So in content at your light level, it will easily kill those annoying smaller enemies. But you have two shurikens, and when you hit the enemy with two, you freeze them. So just like that, you have two abilities that can freeze enemies really fast. And since we are talking about freezing enemies, when we shatter the freeze from an unstoppable champion, we stun them. When we slow an overload champion, we stun them. And the barrier champion can't use his barrier while frozen. So with this build, you can go into content with champions and you will be fine. I ran this build in multiple runs of the Corrupted Nightfall this week. At one point, a clanmate of mine was using the same build and it was a breeze. Look how easy it is. We don't have to stay in the back. We just freeze, we get damage resistance, we kill enemies from here. The super is really good for this part. Now, it's not a DPS super, it's a crowd control one. And it does that. It does what it's meant to do, crowd control. With this build, you can adapt it to your own playstyle. You want to use your grenade defensively? You want to have a barricade to stop incoming bullets from enemies? You can. You totally can. You want to use it offensively? You see a bunch of enemies, throw it in there, destroy the shard, it will do damage around it, and you can go inside and just finish off the remaining enemies? Sure, you can. This build is very versatile. I'm using Wicked Implement most of the times with this build. It's a gun that I really enjoy. You know, you just take your time, shoot enemies, slow them, freeze them. It's really nice. But the thing about this is you not stuck to a certain weapon. You don't need to use a stasis weapon. You don't need to use nothing. You can adapt the guns you like the most to the build. No problem at all. So let me show you how all this is possible. We are using Renewal Grasps with the exotic perk Depths of Duskfield. Your Duskfield grenades have a much larger effect radius. Allies inside the Duskfield take reduced damage, so 25% damage resistance, and targets inside the area deal reduced damage, so they deal less 50% damage. On our class ability, we're going to choose Gambler's Dodge, so when you dodge near an enemy, it will give you your melee back, and the grenade of choice is Duskfield Grenade. Our aspects are Grim Harvest. When you defeat slowed or frozen targets, it creates a stasis shard, and those shards will give you melee energy to you and your allies. And the second one is Touch of Winter, so we have a bigger size on our Duskfield area, and the crystal is also bigger. On our fragments, we're going to choose Whisper of Chains. While near a frozen target or a friendly stasis crystal, we get 40% damage resistance. That's right, we take 40% less damage. The second one, Whisper of Shards. When we shatter a stasis crystal, it gives us a boost on our grenade recharge rate. It's a 500% boost, guys. We get our grenade 500% faster. That's how we get our grenade so fast. On our third one, we're going to choose Whisper of Rending. So our primaries will do a 100% increased damage to crystals and around 40% more damage to frozen targets. I like this one because it lets you destroy the crystals really fast, and you also do more damage against frozen targets. Whisper of Durance is also here, so slow that you apply to targets last longer, and abilities that linger will also increase in duration, so your Duskfield stays longer in the field. This is really good because you throw your Duskfield, it will be longer, stay longer in the field, and honestly, when it's gone, you already have the other one, so it's an infinite loop. Really good. In the last one, you have two choices. You can go Whisper of Torment. With Whisper of Torment, when you take damage, you get around 5% grenade energy back, and there's a 1 second cooldown between activations. It's a nice perk, it's there, it will give your grenade energy back faster when you take damage. We're always gonna take damage, so it's nice to have. But you can also go with Whisper of Refraction. With Whisper of Refraction, when you kill a frozen or slowed enemy, it will grant you class ability energy, and 90% of the enemies will be slowed or frozen. So this is really good if you also want to play around your shurikens. You know, you dodge, you get your shurikens also slow and freezes targets. So honestly, it's more about your playstyle. If you want to just stay in the back shooting your enemies, go Torment. If you want to be more active around your dodges, go with Refraction. On our artifact, we can use Pillar of Ice. When we defeat a frozen target, it spawns stasis crystals, so more crystals on the battlefield, and Hail the Storm. When we shatter those crystals, they do increase damage, and they release shards of ice that damage and slows enemies nearby. So it really helps with the build, more freezing and more damage. Mods wise, I'm using Harmonic Siphon because I was using a Stasis weapon. You should use a Siphon that matches your weapon. Dynamo, so when you dodge around enemies you get a little bit of super back. And I went with Heavy Ammo Finder because I was playing around with the sword. Now, in our gloves, I went with Bolstering Detonation. It gives you class ability energy when you do damage with a grenade. Impact Induction, it will give you grenade energy back when you do damage with a power melee attack. And Grenade Kickstart. On our chest, 1 damage resist for each type, 1 solar, 1 arc, 1 void. And on our boots, 1 recuperation and 1 innervation. So when you get an Orb of Power, you get health and grenade energy back. And stacks on stacks. So when you get that Orb of Power, you'll get 2 stacks instead of 1. On our class item, I went with Bomber, Reaper, and Proximity ward. Now, if you don't like proximity ward, if you're not doing the finishers, you can go with powerful attraction. So when you dodge, nearby orbs will go to you. And guys, that's the build. I try to be as fast as I can. Thank you so much for watching. I have an idea for the next build. I'm really excited. I really want to show it. It's a build that I don't see anyone using, but it's really, really strong. It's a solar warlock, but it's built differently. It's really nice. And well, thank you so much for the support. If you watched to the end, thank you. Say something nice in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.